back to Cinema Vino. It's good to have you guys here with us. Got Sean, George,
Hi,
Travis Budd,
It's your boy.
Todd Wofford, and we're kicking off a series of trilogies. We're doing all movie trilogies, some of the best trilogies ever made.
all trilogies all the time.
And I think the one we're about to start with, is in the argument for the best ever trilogy from top to bottom,
Easily.
front to back.
Mm.
I can't think of one that does better all the way through. Yeah.
But yeah, consistently,
Here.
like the average.
The original Star Wars? I didn't think I'd ever hear you say that.
I mean, I think that
We'll get there. We'll
get there. But and after we finish the series, we can have a healthy debate. I do think that, I mean, I love obviously all three of the Star Wars, but there is a little drop off in Jedi. I mean, you do get some intense Ewok action.
Yeah, you've always hated the Ewoks.
But yeah, we'll
You
discuss
racist.
that. Ironically, I think the Bourne trilogy is strong from front to back. So
It is, but I don't think it carries the weight of these other ones.
no, it doesn't.
It's good.
Mhm.
It's a good trilogy.
Yeah,
But I'd put that up there with like the John Wick trilogy.
Yeah, it's got Franco Potente.
you're right. And you enjoy saying that. I know you do.
I do.
If you could live the rest of your life and either say only that or only say Imogen Poots, who would you say?
Franco Potente or Imogen Poots? Ooh, Imogen Poots.
it's Poots.
Yeah.
And I think you just solved that debate just now.
Yeah. Just learned a lot about myself today. I prefer Poots.
This is a podcast of discovery.
Mhm.
So, yeah, we'll start with Lord of the Rings, based on the books by J.R.R. Tolkien, first published in 1954. And we are drinking the Lighthearted IPA from Bell's Brewing out of Kalamazoo, Michigan. So this felt appropriate because there are scenes throughout the trilogy of our Hobbit friends enjoying some ale
I'm getting a pint.
and some tankards.
It comes in pints.
And so,
Ironically, we're not drinking pints, though.
no.
Well, I got a tall boy Miller that you hooked me up with.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's different.
So, yeah, this is more of a sessionable. It's 4% IPA, 35, 36 IBU, so it's lower on the hop side. So it doesn't have that big.
Finishing off my first pale ale before going to my India pale ale.
Yeah, and I think you're going to downshift a little bit from the Rattlesnake to the Lighthearted IPA. It's going to be a little bit of a lighter bodied. Yeah, I can't remember how heavy bodied that one is.
It's a hazy. It's a little thick. You
Yeah.
chew on it a little bit.
Yeah. So this one's,
Got some good flavors, some aromatics.
this will be a nice
Let me jump over real
palate
quick.
cleanser.
A
Yeah.
little side by side.
So yeah, this is a low calories. It's 110 calories, 11 carbs. I don't know what 11 carbs means exactly, but I'm assuming that's much lower than your typical IPA is going to be. But
I'm okay with it, but I don't love it.
It has less body than the hazy pale ale,
yeah,
but I can definitely see it being more sessionable. I can drink this faster.
yes. I try to think of something that, in the Prancing Pony, they might enjoy in a long session of drinking, that doesn't quite wipe them out so fast.
I feel like the Prancing Pony is going to be more of like a mead style,
It could be.
more of a thicker kind of old school ale.
I didn't get a good look at their bar. I didn't see what kind of stuff they had. They might be more mixology,
Yeah.
or they might be more aromatic. I don't know.
I think you can hear my cat in the background just opening cabinets.
Playing with a trash can.
Just opening cabinets and letting it.
We can fix that in post.
No, leave it.
Yeah.
It's the magic of podcasting.
There you go. So these three films were shot simultaneously between October 1999 and December of 2000. Approximately a 430-day shooting schedule, which, if you remember from our Eyes Wide Shut,
Yeah.
that's 30 days longer than Eyes Wide Shut.
Yeah, those three movies.
Three 3-hour plus movies.
Yeah.
But then they had some return pickups.
Some pickups,
Does that add in to that 430?
No.
Okay.
So, and they shot pickups every year before the release of every film. They did some quick work with that.
Reshoots.
Yeah. But the bulk of the film was shot during this time period. And I read where in one scene, I think it's where Gollum double crosses Sam and throws the bread over or whatever. There's a scene where he looks at Sam that was filmed in 1999, and Sam's reaction shot was filmed a year later.
Yeah.
There's between that one shot to the next, there's a year of difference in that filming.
Which is the nature of reshoots, right? You need just one cutaway. Or
I think they're still in the shoot there. I think that was just editing.
They're still there to this day.
Hey, we're gonna go back. We're gonna do this one scene that you did a year ago.
Yeah.
Man, I wish they had gone back several times for the Hobbit trilogy.
Yeah.
Tighten that bitch
Just
up.
keep going.
That brings up the question, though, of like, how did he have the budget to do this? Like, how did he have the budget to do this long of a shoot?
So
Actually, he said he was going to do like one movie and then two movies, and then he like yada-yada'd his way into getting to do three.
he
And
went,
then,
mhm.
You told me
Right.
he just like Bernie Madoffed his like his
I know.
producers to get this movie made.
He went to New Line Cinema after the deal with the Weinsteins fell through. He went to New Line, and they kind of, I mean, to their artistic credit, they did not see the idea of two films as being viable. They didn't think that these three books could be turned into any two movies that would be, it would either be incoherent or it would shortchange the material and let down fans. So the New Line Cinema actually like enjoyed the idea of you want to do three movies, right? And so they went all in and committed just under $300 million to the three movies.
So the Weinsteins were the first deal.
They were the first
Miramax.
Mhm. They were the first people he was working with. Yeah.
And he basically just like went longer than he was scheduled, and he was just like, "Hey, I'm gonna do a couple more movies while I'm here." And they were like, "No."
I think that there was a lot of structural issues with the Weinsteins, and like there was a big push of like how much can you cram into like say two movies, you know?
Yeah.
And then understandably, you know, that studio balked at the budget of like the commitment that was going to take, not only for resources and money, but like kind of the gamble, because, and that's something we can cover is, and I know I got this experience when I read the books, even in like middle school, of like, how are they ever going to film this? The novels had often been written off as that you can't film them. They cannot be filmed because of the scale of the battles, the special effects that would be required, the nature of how they're written. To me, they're very,
Your Tom Bombadils.
your Tom Bombadils. They're very fractured. I mean, and to me, and we could talk about this in Two Towers. The Two Towers is where I really hit the point of like, because I remember reading the first book of like, I can't wait until they make this into a movie someday. Especially that was like around the time all the big CGI was coming along. It's like you can kind of sense like they could do it. And then I got to Two Towers. It's like, how are they going to do this stuff? How are they ever going to make this stuff into a movie? Especially when you get to like Treebeard. I remember reading that thing. How are they going to make that into like a movie? Because I pictured like it's going to look like the Wizard of Oz. It's going to be like a guy in a tree costume, you know. And so I couldn't picture that in a movie. And so that was kind of
That's why you're no Peter Jackson.
I know. That's why I don't even have the accent.
That's offensive. First of all, what did Peter Jackson do prior to this that was like gave him enough street cred to be able to make this happen?
On this scale, nothing. But I mean, he had done like The Frighteners and was it Heavenly Creatures?
I think he did. And did he do like Brain Dead or something? Like he did some zombie films.
He'd done some good movies.
Yeah, I mean
Or
he's a great.
Dead Alive or Brain Dead. Something where there's like a weird, disgusting like group of family members around a table and like a grandma's eating her own ear or something, and a zombie gets taken out by like somebody lifting a lawnmower and
You know what?
shoving it in
I
their face.
have seen that.
Have you?
Yeah, I have.
I said that does seem kind of your wheelhouse.
That's up my alley. Yeah. I just don't. It's amazing that someone took that leap of faith to like make this happen, because how easily could a C or D list director
Mhm.
go from that to like pitching this scale of
Huge.
movie to a
Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
Sam
With,
Sam
with
Raimi.
Spidey.
Mhm.
Sam Raimi went from Evil Dead to Evil Dead 2, which was just a remake of Evil Dead.
And then
Yeah.
Army of Darkness, and then I don't know what he did in between there, but like all of a sudden you're like, who's Sam Raimi when he's directing Spider-Man? You're like, fuck.
I don't think that Spider-Man was as big of a gamble as Lord of the Rings would have been in this situation.
That's
especially because
three back to back.
Spider-Man came out and was a huge hit, gave them the budget to go back and do number 2 and then eventually number 3. But, I mean, he had like, they didn't shoot it all at once.
Mm-hmm.
I think the fact that they were able to do this, it is incredible. I don't think you could ever do this today.
In New Zealand, primarily on location, and for a lot of the shots.
Yeah, with decently big name actors.
Yeah. To commit to a 438-day shoot, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Ironically, I remember reading this as a kid. I had pictured for Aragorn as Mel Gibson. I don't know if that that shows you how long ago that was.
It was supposed to be Stuart Townsend.
Yeah, and he was too young, which fits.
Or he was kind of an asshole also, maybe.
Yeah. I guess the official line was that they thought he was too young. They wanted to get somebody with a little more pepper in the beard, so they went with Vigo.
Well, maybe he was an asshole on some other movie set too, but either way, I'd heard through the grapevine, maybe
And that could be.
up his own ass a little.
There's a lot of good camaraderie on this set between all the actors. They really got along really well. So this was the second highest grossing film of 2001.
The first was Sorcerer's Stone.
There you go.
Was it really?
I read his notes.
Yeah, they got outgrossed. So I think this was the third highest grossing film ever made. And then it got the number 2 highest grossing film ever made at that time was Harry Potter.
What won Best Picture that year?
2001, Beautiful Mind, I believe.
Dumb.
Yeah.
Compared to this? Come on.
Yeah, I did enjoy Beautiful Mind, but yeah, I mean, especially now, this to me has improved even more. I loved it in the theaters. I like it more, especially going back and watching.
I loved watching it a week ago.
Yeah.
This movie fucks.
It's great.
I didn't love it the first time I saw it in theaters. I was just like, I had watched the cartoon back in the day, and I had tried to read Fellowship. I'd read The Hobbit, and I couldn't get past the fucking birthday party. I was like, how long are we going to be in this birthday party?
Yeah.
And I fell off. So when I saw it, I was like, okay, I know there's like big wars or something. Like I was thinking more and more action, and it just like got left to the very end for me. And I was like, oh, okay, whatever. But it wasn't until a friend got the extended edition on DVD, and then I watched it, and I loved all the little special extras, and I was like, oh, all right, now I'm ready when it came to Two Towers. And then I was all in.
Yeah. So yeah, this has been adapted in the form of a truncated animated movie. Was it Ralph Bakshi?
What, the 1976 animated?
Somewhere in that area, yeah. And then there's a radio drama. I want to say John Hurt was Frodo. Because in the books, Frodo was like 50-something years old. He's middle-aged.
Yeah, there was the Lord of the Rings cartoon, which was kind of the first 2 books. And then there was the Return of the King animated movie that went back to the Hobbit style of animation.
Yeah.
Which I preferred. But the animated Lord of the Rings cartoon was one of the first uses of rotoscope, where they had live action actors and then they animated over them later.
Yeah.
And they did that for Ralph Bakshi again did it for Fire and Ice with Frank Frazetta.
Oh yeah. Interesting. So yeah, as we said, these novels have been deemed unfilmable. To me, that's the biggest achievement of all. Is they took something that they said couldn't be done, and they did it, and did it really well. This was filmed in Peter Jackson's native New Zealand exclusively. Locations include Matamata for the Shire, Canterbury for Rohan, and Tongariro National Park for Mount Doom. So, actual real locations. This was a difficult thing to condense down into a log line. That's such a massive story. Another reason why they didn't think it could be filmed was there's so many characters, so many plot lines, there's so many different things that, to take something out would be to shortchange it. But I tried to get it down to briefly. See, and Travis, you can kind of check my work here. See what you think about how if I can get this down to 2 or 3 sentences. In the fantasy world of Middle Earth, the Dark Lord Sauron seeks to conquer and enslave the world, but he needs a magical ring of power to assume physical form and gain full power. It falls to the hobbit Frodo Baggins and 8 companions to form the Fellowship of the Ring and embark on an epic quest to cast the ring into the molten, churning fires of Mount Doom and end the threat of evil.
Yeah, that sounds great. Although, if we're only talking about 9 members of the Fellowship, we're shortchanging Bill the Pony.
That's true.
Honorary number 10. I'm rereading, and by rereading, I mean listen
First
to the
one to
audiobook.
Quit. Are you kidding me?
What?
Get him out of
he
there.
got run off by the Watcher in the water. Homeboy couldn't go into the halls of Mount Doom.
Yeah, because he's a bitch.
Or he couldn't get into what?
More like bitch the pony.
He couldn't traverse the mines of Moria.
How annoying would that be in the mile?
Come on, Bill. We must jump the stairs.
So yeah, you got Elijah Wood. Again, they cast a much younger actor to play Frodo than what is written in the books.
They cast Elijah Wood and both his eyes.
Yeah.
Well, you age better when you're a hobbit,
Yeah.
You don't age the same.
Yeah, it's true. Then Sean Astin as Samwise Gamgee.
Hell yeah.
Frodo's gardener and best buddy.
How old is Sam in the books?
I don't remember how old he is. But I think he's supposed to be about the same age that Frodo was in the books, so probably 50-ish.
Yeah.
I would guess.
Yeah, and there's 12 years passed between Gandalf leaving Frodo the ring and then jetting and then coming back or something obscene like that. And
correctly, they condense that down in the books where it's like he goes and rides and comes back, and it flows better than like he's gone for a decade plus.
You're right.
So they made some good choices cinematically that help make the story play better as a movie than it probably would have.
And from what I remember in book-wise, from the time of Frodo leaving the Shire, or like the full thing takes like 14 months once he leaves.
Yeah.
Leaving the Shire to Ring in the Lava.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I knew it was a long time, a lot longer than what you'd get a sense of it.
Yeah. You just listened to these audiobooks not that long ago, right? I think it was maybe a year or two ago.
Yeah. And I just started listening to Fellowship again just because I wanted to listen to the Council of Elrond, the meeting of the Fellowship for the first time.
Yeah.
I just wanted to see that chapter, but I was like, fuck it, I'll listen.
And as a counterpoint, you can look up the MTV Video Awards with Jack Black, where they refilmed that where he has a cock ring.
Yeah. Yeah.
That has to be destroyed. So.
Mm-hmm.
I love that, man.
And apparently he's got a massive wingding in his pants. So.
Wait, the actual Jack Black does?
Black?
I'm sure he does, but I mean, his Frodo Baggins does for sure. But I'm guessing Jack Black does.
I was say, I've seen that man in a Speedo. I wasn't impressed.
We'll agree to disagree.
Got a full Hobbit in his trousers.
So we got Ian McKellen.
It's got a halfling down there.
Ian McKellen as Gandalf the Grey. You got Viggo Mortensen as Strider / Aragorn. Orlando Bloom as Legolas. And then Sean Bean as Boromir. And Billy Boyd and Dominic Monaghan as the Pippin and Merry, the two comic relief hobbits.
I think one of my favorite clips on the internet is Dominic Moynihan interviewing Elijah.
About Viggs?
It's not like Elijah can't see him, so it's just like an audio interview. Have you seen this clip? Oh my God. Yeah, you have. Dominic Moynihan is doing like a bit where he's pretending to be an interviewer from Germany who's doing an interview with Elijah over like some movie that he had done. And he's basically just like, no, you have worn a lot of wigs. Are you planning on doing any more movies where you wear wigs? He's just like, I mean, maybe. He's like, will you wear wigs? I don't know. When will you wear wigs? I'll send it to you. It's the best thing.
That's awesome.
It's the best. And that was after they had filmed all the Lord of the Rings because they had just become best friends.
Yeah. Yeah. Apparently they all got tattoos.
Yeah.
Like matching tattoos or whatever.
They went surfing all the time.
Yeah. God, that must
be nice.
Yeah. I would say this movie is an impressive, brochure for traveling to New Zealand.
It was. It's still.
Yeah, they actually filmed commercials and stuff during it for New Zealand travel.
Yeah.
For New Zealand Air or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you're right. I did go back about a year ago and watched all the special features from all these on the extended.
Do you have the Blu-rays or do you just have the DVDs?
Both. when the Blu-rays came out, I upgraded.
Get the HD DVDs too.
So did I.
Yeah.
You got Liv Tyler playing Arwen, the elven princess, who's also Aragorn's main love interest. Squeeze. Yeah. You got Hugo Weaving as Elrond Hubbard, the leader of the Rivendell elves. That's tough to say.
Elves.
Although every time I hear Rivendell, I think Lord of the Dance. But there's that. And then finally got Sir Christopher Lee as the treacherous White Wizard.
Yeah.
Arguably the only actor who deserves to be here.
Yeah. And I saw an interview with Ian McKellen where he went to dinner with Christopher Lee and Peter Jackson. And I guess they were sitting there and he said that one point during the dinner, Christopher Lee leaned over and he's like, I always thought that I should play Gandalf.
Yeah.
he had J.R.R. Tolkien's blessing to play Gandalf in a film adaptation.
And he's the only member of the cast that's actually stabbed somebody.
Yeah.
That we know of.
There's a story that when he's on set, he talks about dying in the third movie. And he was like, the acting note that he got was that he was supposed to like scream or something in agony. He's like, no, do you know what sound someone makes when they're stabbed? Everyone's just like, what the fuck?
They suck in their breath.
Yeah, they suck in their breath.
Yeah, because he was in some like super secret like Nazi hunting thing in World War II.
Nazis.
Yeah,
World War II.
fucking kudos, man.
Yeah.
What a champ.
He was great, man. So I'm
He's also in a metal band.
Yeah, a death metal band or punk. Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah, man.
Renaissance man.
and he
Really
read the books every year.
Yeah.
Clockwork.
He was a great Saruman, you know.
He was the best.
Yeah.
Saruman.
Also, I mean, that's my one problem with these movies. Like J.R.R. Tolkien, my one note: Sauron and Saruman. Like,
Too close.
change
Too
one.
close.
Too similar.
Change
yeah.
one.
Just add another syllable, add another something else.
Yeah,
Saruman.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
it's like Gandalf and Gandalfo.
Well, it's like the TV show Friends. You got Ross and you got Russ.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to hear what you guys think. I know now watching, I would like to hear what you guys thought of it the first time you saw it and then now. So compare and contrast and how your opinions have changed. That's what I love about cats is like, if there's like something being filmed, you know, they're going to work their way into a starring role.
He'll find a way to make it about himself.
Hey, he's like the croc hunter. Anytime croc hunter sees an alligator, he's like, how can I get my finger in that thing's butthole? It's the South Park. That's how cats are.
Oh,
They're like,
how can I stick my finger in its butthole?
Yeah. Thanks. So, like I said, I saw this film when it came out, and with two other people that were like big fans, and they were all
Big fans
talking about it.
Of the books prior to.
Yes, big
Okay.
fans of the books. And I kind of saw it. And I was like, all right, yeah, but you know, they were just getting chased most of the time. I mean, they finally had a cool fight at the end, but it was just right at the end. And so I wasn't fully on board, but I enjoyed it. But like I said, wasn't until I got the extended versions and I was like, okay, to me, this flows better. And I especially liked it because they spent more time on Galadriel's gifts in the first one. So that, spoiler alert, when we get to the next one, when they're using the cloak, I was like, oh, they have a whole reason for why that works.
Yeah.
It's kind of the Chekhov's gun of the series. Kind of makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, it flows better. Like they
And the magical rope. Why does it untie itself?
exactly.
Mhm.
All right, go ahead. I'm starting to want to talk about the next movie.
No, please talk about the cloaks.
Well, so they have the whole, and like in the second film, they explain the shadow of Mordor, that the whole thing is choking out the fog or the dust so that the orc armies can move by daylight. So, and they explain that better in the extended Two Towers. And they, left it out. So,
Well, honestly, they did a really good job of doing that exposition in Rings of Power. If you've watched Rings of Power on Amazon, they kind of like talk about more about how, the whole idea is you blot out the sun so that the orcs can actually move because the daylight fucks them up. So that was the whole thing why when Uruk-hais were invented, they were like, these guys are moving. It's daylight. That's not supposed to happen. Something's amiss.
Yeah.
That was the big sign that like, whew, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
plus but the very beginning of Fellowship, perfect. Gives you the whole exposition out the gate,
Really good
but
exposition.
gives you all of the cool little moments of the huge wars, and it just gives you snippets here and there. And then they show later on what happens to Isildur, and then later on Elrond fills in the gaps. He goes, well, I was there 3,000 years ago, and you're like,
There when the will of men failed.
he looks great
Mhm.
for being over 3,000 years.
He does look pretty good. Well, he's better than the Matrix.
That's true. But it makes me, my brother and I were talking about the Fire and Blood Game of Thrones, and about how we were both reading the book after the series had come out. And we got to like the last half of the book, and they're like, oh, well, here's where the book, the TV series actually starts. Why the hell didn't they do the whole thing? I mean, if they kind of fucking up Fire and Blood this last season. But if they could have at least given a Fellowship of the Ring style, like quick little jump of like, and now we're here, I think it would have flowed way better. You would have known some more of the characters. Plus, it's always helpful for me when they cast somebody and you get to see their face and know, face with a name and everything. You're like, all right, I can fit that in my head a little bit better.
Yeah.
But Yeah, just the opening alone, just Kate Blanchett's narration over all that, chef's kiss.
And the perfect person to do it too. The perfect like actress and character.
Originally, it was supposed to be Ian McKellen. There's a version out there where Ian McKellen is doing their narration,
but they were all of them deceived.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a little Sean Connery.
Yeah, that's who they wanted for Gandalf originally.
Did they really?
And he didn't understand the script.
Oh, wizard is never right.
That's just stupid.
Arrives precisely when he means to.
But then he was in Zardos.
And then
We need to do that movie.
man, he'd been perfect to play. I mean, just to say the name Saruman, Saruman. But yes, what would you give? What would you give it in 2001, and what would you give it now?
Then I would have given it a 7. Now it's a solid. It's got to be a 9.5. Like, I mean, the thing is, it takes forever for them again to get out of the Shire. Like, it's a necessary step. When you look at the entirety of it, I would say they're all going to be 10s. The Two Towers is my favorite of the 3. But yeah, they're just, it's the same. I mean, it's perfectly bookended. You have a long intro and you have a long outro. I know Jack Nicholson was not as big of a fan with a long outro because he came up to Elijah Wood and was like, "Did you ever get out of that volcano, man?" He goes, "Yeah, we did." He was like, Did you not see?" He was like, "No, I left early." Like, you didn't see the end of the film? He's like, "No, too many endings."
What's with all the endings, kid?
Yeah, you got to wrap that up, man. I got to get home for dinner.
I had a Lakers game.
Yeah, that's true.
So you'd say 7 then, 9.5 now.
Yes.
Sean?
I'd say 10 and 10, both. So I was at a very formidable age when this came out. I was 11.
Yeah.
And this movie sparked my interest in like fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
Like this, I can't understate how important like the Lord of the Rings trilogy was to my junior high self.
Yeah.
That like this kicked off, a whole wave of like interests, and because I didn't really have the interest in like, sword and sorcery type movies that you did. Like this was my first foray into fantasy, and I was like, I watched the Lord of the Rings trilogy all the time. I watched, I played the video games. Like there was like a really good Shadow of Mordor video game, or like,
oh yeah, with Talon.
Yeah, I mean I think it was like Xbox, like OG Xbox, cool. Maybe. Yeah, it was.
He had like wraith powers with Celebrimbor. Those are fucking dope.
No, I don't think that.
What?
I don't think that was the game.
Shadow of Mordor?
No, I think Shadow of Mordor was the later one. Maybe it was just Lord of the Rings.
Okay,
maybe it's just called Lord of the Rings. I don't know. I don't know. It was a very big, important movie for me at that age, and going back and watching it now, it's hard to not be like, okay, this is my childhood. I mean, this is like. This hits so hard. It did not feel like a 3.5 hour movie. I was just pleasantly just like watching it for 3.5 hours, and it's long. And this movie's been memed to hell. I mean, like half the lines in this movie, I was just like,
yeah,
the Leo meme.
It's pop culture lore now.
Yeah. They're taking the hobbits to Isengard. Like
to Isengard.
Guard. Like, come on.
Yeah.
I know that's in the second movie.
Yeah, I was about to say the same. But what was, and the one shot that they have that's always super cool whenever Frodo's like, get off the road. I don't remember what it is, if they're pushing the camera forward while panning out or pushing the camera back.
It's called panning forward. Yeah.
I don't remember which one, but it was super cool. I was like, how the fuck did they do that? And I saw the behind the scenes. I was like, that's cool.
So one of the first scenes they filmed, one of the earliest, was that on the road.
I loved it.
So yeah, you'd say,
I mean, I can't not call it a 10 now and then. And I don't think it's a nostalgia bump. I thought it was a 10 then. But that was because I had the movie taste of an 11-year-old.
Yeah.
Now I have the movie taste of someone who's anchoring their taste based on their 11-year-old self. But I think this movie kicked off like an entire wave of D&D nerdery for like my generation.
Yeah. Brought it to the mainstream.
Yeah, it did. I think there was a whole era of fantasy nerdery that came out of this.
Yeah.
That like wouldn't have happened if these movies weren't as big as they were.
Yeah.
And as good as they were.
Yeah. They made it cool.
They used practical effects. There were some special effects, but for the most part, like the only thing that's really stuck out to me as cheesy the entire time I watched it for effects is Gollum.
Yeah.
In Gollum, you have Andy Serkis acting that makes that up, and he's fantastic.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think this movie in particular has aged really, really well. And I know the plot is kind of thin because it is leading into the second one. Like you said, this is the intro up to it, but it has great pacing. It has a first, second, and third act. That third act hits hard. You know, you got the music is incredible. Cinematography is incredible. I don't think there's anything I would take away from this movie.
And the middle act of the film is basically like an extended chase scene of Frodo being pursued by the ring wraiths.
Yeah.
You know, and that has that kind of that intensity of a nonstop. Because the ring wraiths are basically like, you know, medieval Terminators that they don't sleep, they don't get sick, they don't get tired, they just keep going.
Yeah.
And so you get that idea of like that relentless pursuit. So that adds it to the suspense and tension of the second act. It's really good, I think.
Yeah. And the first act does just such a good job of setting up an entire trilogy. You get, like you said, great exposition, really good storytelling, really good, like, laying everything out. You get the perspective of multiple people that makes sense why they're telling this story. You know, you kind of get like a lot of show don't tell with like the different races and how they interact. And you see like the humans and the elves and the dwarves clearly not getting along. I don't know. It's just so well done.
Yeah.
Plus you get just, I mean, for me, the monsters are some of the best parts too. And I guess, I don't know, you know, there's the middle fight with the cave troll too, which got a little truncated on the theater. But that was a great fight scene too. And then you've got the Balrog, which looked fucking metal.
Yeah. Dude, the Balrog is the baddest freaking bad guy in any movie.
Looks so cool.
Yeah.
So cool.
I mean, to me, I was even like that.
They were too greedy.
Yeah.
They kept digging.
Delve too deep.
From Mithril.
I think about like, you know, he seems like a final boss, like a Doom video game, you know?
Yeah.
Hundo P.
Like a big giant demon from hell.
Yeah. And Gandalf solos him, takes all the XP.
Yeah. Pretty much.
And levels up.
Yeah.
Levels up. Takes all the XP away from the party.
I never thought about that. Yeah. Yeah. He's an XP hog.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a
dick move.
Loot fiend.
That's
Plus, the orcs looked fucking cool. Like every single orc.
Yes.
Like the underground orcs, which they sometimes called them goblins that were, you know, crawling on the walls. With
no, I thought goblins and orcs were different.
They are, but
and these were goblins. I thought it was goblins in the.
Well, they kept calling them orcs, but sometimes they accidentally called them goblins. Whatever. It's
maybe they travel together.
Yeah, but you get all kinds of all kinds of different orcs. You got the Uruk-hai, which is the high orcs basically.
Which it's a hybrid of orcs and goblins, isn't it?
I think they did say that, yeah.
Yeah.
But then they were originally elves.
They say orcs and goblin men is how they call them in the story.
Nobody knows.
Yeah. But yeah.
Did they domesticate that troll? Like, was it a pet?
They must have.
They have a cave troll.
Or was the cave troll like friends with them? Like, it was.
And, yeah. But sorry, I was going to move on. I was going to say, we got to talk about Sean Bean in this one.
Sean Bean?
We're not, because we're not going to talk about him in any of the other ones, badly.
Why not?
One of the best death scenes.
Yes.
On film.
I don't remember him being that sketchy in the books. You the fresher for you. Was he that like sketchy like beforehand?
I don't exactly recall, because when I'm listening to the audiobooks, like I really wish that they'd have subtitles
in the audiobooks.
With the audiobooks,
my friend, you're describing a book.
I know, I want the book, but like when I'm driving around, I'm like, they're saying a word like the name of a city or some old like a descendant or something. I'm like, how the fuck is that spelled? And I'm like, oh, I just want subtitles on my dash when I'm driving around. But
and in a related story, Travis totaled his car.
but no, he was a little sketchy. But that's what The Ring does. They want to show that because of Frodo's character, even though he's not strong of arm, homeboy is strong of heart, and that even if he does go fucking crazy, he's a little goddamn hobbit.
Yeah.
So
what's he gonna do?
They can punch him in his little hobbit face, and we're like, all right, we're good.
Yeah,
punch him. He's a little guy.
They should have just knocked him out, and then Vigo put him over his shoulder, because Sam was able to do it. He's like, I can't carry it, but I can carry you.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Well,
Yeah, maybe want to put my jersey on somebody's desk.
There's been a lot of like, exposition and like discussing of this movie since they came out. Someone was like, why don't they just put the ring on a mouse, have it corrupt the mouse, and then they carry the mouse?
That's true.
In a little cage.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and they're good.
That movie
transitive
sucked.
property,
That movie
like
sucked.
they'd be fine. Cast the mouse into the lava.
Yeah,
But
It's corrupted that
you've
point.
got the ring, and you show that it corrupted Isildur, and then you need another character to show that the ring is calling. Like, if the ring's owner is not going to do the right thing by the ring, it will call out to other people and tempt them.
Yeah, it shows you why it's evil.
Right. Because it's not just a ring of like invisibility. Because I was always like, why the fuck is he not using that ring of invisibility all the time
mm-hmm.
and just murking some hoes left and right?
Yeah,
It's because it doesn't make him invisible. It transports him to like the ethereal spirit world. And that's why he can see the ring wraiths in the ethereal.
Yeah.
And they can see him even better.
Well, he's not a conjurer of cheap tricks.
That's true.
So I would give this a 9.5. It holds up great.
You bitch, make it a 10.
Okay, and here's my.
I
they
expected
should-
it from him.
They should all be 10s. But
They
if
should-
I'm going to give Two Towers the 10iest 10,
Mhm.
maybe I'll give this a 10. I'll give Two Towers an 11.
It's fair.
And here's my deal.
Because the two towers look like an 11.
Oh, I wish I had some glasses to push up my nose right now.
Or am I?
So yeah, it's all perspective to me. Like, I give this a 9.5 because, like you said, Two Towers is the perfect Lord of the Rings movie to me. It's 10, and so, like you say, it's not a flaw in the filmmaking. It's a flaw in the nature of an introductory chapter where it takes a little longer to get going. It takes a little longer to pick up the steam of the story. So for that reason, I mean, it's like it draws out a little further in the opening stretch of it, a little more than it should. And so, again, that's not the fault of Peter Jackson or really J.R.R. Tolkien. It's just, that's like the first story is just kind of that way. The first chapter of the book, you got to get.
It is the first act of the trilogy.
Yeah. And so, and then that's the thing, like each of these movies has a well-defined first, second, and third act. The story itself, each installment is a first, second, and third act. And the first act is going to be a lot of exposition, just by nature.
Yeah.
So to me, the next movie is the perfect Lord of the Rings movie. And so, I have to, if that's a 10, then if that's the top of the scale, I got to go one notch down for this one. But it's still 9.5 is awesome.
You're telling me you're driving down the road, you hear burn,
Meow, meow, meow.
and you're not jazzed up. That's a 9.5 to you? Sir, that is a 10.
They don't have Tom Bombadil. And two, They don't let Gwaihir, Lord of the Eagles, they don't give him a voice. They'll let the fucking tree talk in the second movie.
Mhm.
Let the wargs talk. Let the eagles talk. Is that going to suspend our disbelief in this fucking movie?
What would the eagle say?
They'd say, no one will not take the fucking ring to Mordor. And they would.
Hey, Gandalf, what are you doing up there? You need a ride?
There's a
I
whole
got you.
paragraph in The Lord of the Rings somewhere where they're like, why don't we just get the eagles? And they're like, yeah, first of all, the eagles aren't going to do it. Second of all, if they did, they would get attacked as soon as, they fly into Mordor. The whole reason we need Frodo is because nobody's going to look at this dippy little dumb
Sneaky little guy.
dude.
Yeah.
He's going to sneak in.
I feel like Glenn Fry would be corrupted the first, if not Don Henley. They would turn evil very quickly. Of the Eagles, so.
I hate the fucking eagle,
God hates
man.
the eagles.
I think if they met me, they would hate me too. So that's only fair.
The band or the birds?
I know I did.
Yes. It's a common reaction. But I feel like if Don Henley and I met each other, we would not be friends. There would be
Beef.
music aside.
Do you think you could take him in a fight?
Yeah.
I think
The man
take
is
you in a New York.
the man is old and soaked in booze.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'd give him one good firm slap and call it a day. Maybe with a glove. Yeah.
You can't hide your lion eyes.
And that's how I dueled the eagles.
Yeah, that's a story you take with you to your grandkids. Slapped that man with a nice toner glove and walked away.
You can tell your grandkids that story whether or not it happened.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So anyway, I give this a 9.5. It's great. Howard Shore's music is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's damn near a perfect cat. Every actor is great.
How many awards did it get?
I don't remember how this.
0.
Yeah, fucking 0.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, like Oscars.
Academies.
Yeah. It won quite a few like peripheral awards, but
Okay, no one cares about Spirit
but
Awards.
you can tell they were waiting to save up for like Return of the King. Return of the King got the awards for the trilogy.
But yeah, and I don't know if that's entirely fair. I mean, they just waited until the end to let them sweep it.
Yeah, it's just
But
the
it kind of,
Academy stuff.
kind of took away from some of the other films that year.
Yeah.
So it's kind of shitty, but whatever.
But yeah, you guys tune in next time. We're going to talk about the Two Towers. Which I mean, yeah, everybody out there in the movie going world had to wait a full year to go see after this one came out. It was a long wait.
Do you
a
think
lot of people didn't want to talk about the Two Towers in 2001.
Oh, yeah.
Very true. It was an awkward thing.
Do you think that the whole reason that it swept in Return of the King, I mean, obviously they were saving up, but then they realized, all right, the first movie came out, whatever, it's going to be fantasy, it's flash in the pan. And then the second movie came out and they're like, oh shit, this is a lot more popular than we thought. And then the anticipation went in the third one, they're like, okay, just so we don't look like dip fucks, we got to step up our game
Dip
here.
fucks.
Dip
Yeah,
fucks.
dip fucks.
All right. Oh,
Dip
yeah.
noodles.
I mean, I'm sure that's probably part of it. The Academy tries to correct itself.
Yeah, they wanted to be on the right side of history.
Yes. Well, it was like with Martin Scorsese winning for The Departed. I mean, they suddenly realized, like, we didn't give him one for Taxi Driver. We didn't give him one for Raging Bull. We didn't give him one for Goodfellas. We better give him something. We can't go down in history giving him 0 awards and have Eminem won an Oscar and Martin Scorsese won 0.
Well, it's like Leo when he got his.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it was his best
Or
role.
Revenant.
Revenant.
Yeah.
He fought a bear. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, they didn't give him one for half the other great movies he did. So
Yeah.
they have to retroactively give him one. So there was some of that here for sure.
What would you give Leo the Oscar for?
Man, he was great in The Aviator. And we're getting off track a little bit. But
I
yeah,
never saw that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thinking Catch Me If You Can.
yeah, Gangs in New York. I mean, he had a good stretch.
What's eating Gilbert Grape?
Yeah, that was a great one too.
I guess that would have been supporting actor.
Yeah. But it's been another episode of Cinema Vino. We thank you guys very much. Check out Lighthearted IPA, a very sessionable, medium hopped IPA from Bell's Brewing. Should be available wherever you buy your beers out there in the world. Tune in next time. We're going to do Two Towers. So great movies, only drunker. And we will see you guys next time.